Hello and welcome to the Red Zone, the tight end analysis podcast. I'm Big Italy 42. He's Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. Talking about some of your favorite plays here, of course, and broken record type of thing here at the top, but it's not even really a broken record because those are the kind of things that are annoying that don't matter. It does matter that Rob Gronkowski, as always, is your top option. Facing off against a Buffalo team that is good against tight ends, but as we know, first time volume passing attack by Tom Brady because the Patriots are one of the few teams that are smart enough to realize you don't try to run the ball up the gut against Buffalo Bills defense. You throw the ball. That's how you beat them. They did, and Gronk had a big game then, and I don't care how good you are against tight ends, especially with Julian Edelman out. Gronk's going to get his targets, and he's going to get his, and I don't care who you are, you're not stopping him.
Yeah, and with enough value everywhere else this week, it should be easy to slide Gronkowski into your lineups. And going back to that first game, caught 7 balls, 113 yards, touchdown, nearly identical to what he did last week. Just a safe play because I know looking down at this list, I mean we're not thrilled with tight end this week. I think Gronk is just far better the top option. He's matchup proof. There's no other way to put it. He's the elite guy.
Yeah, it's simple. So if you want the nice high floor and upside, just get Gronk. Like you said, plenty of values and super popular values. So you just play those guys. Don't make it difficult on yourself. But you're obviously going to want to swerve in tournaments some places. So some other options. Antonio Gates, first off, against the Chiefs defense that looked incredible last week. More a product of Peyton Manning being horrible than it was them being good. I mean, give them some credit. They played well, but, I mean, Peyton Manning couldn't even stand. So this is a defense that I'm not having recency bias on. This is still a bad passing defense. And, of course, with Keenan Allen out, Phillip Rivers, top target now. Antonio Gates is kind of, at times, his top target anyway. So Antonio Gates here in this one, probably going to see easily 10 to 12 targets, especially if this game is close. And I mean, it's a volume passing attack. It's pass first. So if you can get the top option, the pass first attack at tight end, that's not a bad way to go.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of looking, it's going to be a volume. I mean, not the best matchup, but I mean, still, you were looking at volume with Rivers, Gates, their combination from what they've done in the past. I mean, you got to like his floor this week still, even against the Chiefs. He's been targeted 10 plus times in each game outside of that Baltimore game where he was injured. He's averaging 7 catches per game, which is nice, especially on DraftKings where you get the full point PPR. Should have had a touchdown last week, but got called back on that flag. So I mean, really, he's been very solid this season since coming back after the bye week. Getting that injury right, even though he's still questionable, he should definitely suit up for Week 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, past him, we got Crockett Gillmore for the Ravens, and this is another situation where actually the same week they lost Steve Smith. Really not much else. And we saw last week, Gilmore, Max Williams both caught touchdowns. Max Williams, kind of the future at tight end, I guess, for this team. Not a guy that's heavily targeted. He's dropped some passes as well. But you got to throw the ball to someone. Obviously, St. Louis, a great front seven. Not going to be easy to run on them either. So Joe Flacco is a guy that's going to have to make plays down the field. And with really lack of options, you've got Kamar Aiken, you've got Chris Givens now. Kind of the Rams reject, actually, that they didn't really want. They don't have any weapons. So, I mean, kind of by default, Crockett Gillmore comes in as a cheap option that, if nothing else, he's going to get red zone looks. And that's really what you're looking for with your cheap tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of flashed his upside once already this season, which was against Oakland. But, then you look at last week, 4 for 42 and a touchdown line. Not bad, especially at the price there. And, speaking of Kamar Aiken, he's going to see Janoris Jenkins this week, which kind of just takes him off the map. I mean, going back to my matchup grade article, it's not a good week to target Aiken. Jenkins has just made wide receivers almost invisible to quarterbacks. So you're probably looking at a lot of 2 tight end sets and probably a lot of balls going to the tight ends this week in Baltimore.
Yeah, and if you have a similar line to that 4 for 42 and a touchdown from last week, I mean, you're thrilled with that with Gilmore at his price this week. So next guy, probably going to be a pretty popular GPP play, Eric Ebron. And really, I mean, it hasn't been his fault the time that he hasn't produced this year because when he's had opportunity, he's made plays down the field, he's made red zone plays. He's a very talented, gifted player, but so's Calvin Johnson. So the issue here just becomes, can Matt Stafford get him the ball? And against an Oakland team that, now missing Aldon Smith, really just not a good defensive unit. Eric Ebron and the Lions are in that spot where everything says they should produce at a high level, And then Matt Stafford sometimes has something to say about that and make sure it doesn't happen. But if Matt Stafford can be at least an adequate quarterback this week, then Ebron and Calvin Johnson, for that matter, have big upside against this defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why the reason he's in the GPP plays. Although, for his price, you're probably going to throw him in the value anyway, just because you like the matchup. But because this is the Lions offense and they're so unpredictable, even when they have, great matchups, they don't produce. That's why we just can't trust them, and they are GPP plays. But Ebron definitely probably one of the higher owned tight ends for this week, especially on DK, where if you want to roll a 2 tight end lineup, which is possible with Gronk and Ebron, definitely some upside between those two.
Yeah, and speaking of upside, Tyler Eifert for the Bengals, real rough week last week. 3 touchdowns the week before, 3 drops last week, some key ones as well. Everyone's blaming Andy Dalton. He didn't have a great game, but when you got your backup right tackle against J.J. Watt, I mean, you're not going to have much time to throw the ball. So Eifert, recency bias is going to keep him off a lot of rosters this week. As everyone saw, he struggled last week. But, I mean, this is still one of the more talented tight ends in the league, and I'm pretty sure he's still leading the all tight ends and touchdowns with 9. So he's had a couple 2 touchdown games. He had that 3 touchdown games. Got big-time upside. And like you mentioned, Arizona really hasn't played a good tight end yet this season outside of really Gary Barnidge. So Tyler Eifert and the Bengals, especially with some tough matchups for some wide receivers, Dalton's going to be looking back to Tyler Eifert quite a bit this week.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking at. You're looking at Marvin Jones having a tough matchup. You're looking at A.J. Green, tough matchup, seeing Patrick Peterson. I mean, Eifert's probably going to get a ton of looks this week, and you got to like his upside, especially in the red zone where he's getting 28% of the red zone targets. All of his touchdowns have come in the red zone, but he can stretch the field as well. I think this one has, maybe not a potential to be a huge shootout, but it could be a back and forth passing affair because it's probably going to be pretty tough to run on these two teams' defenses. So I think Eifert, big upside. If you want Gronk-like upside, it's Eifert. He's the only one.
Yeah. Plus, let the Bengals lie to you all they want. They want to beat the hell out of Carson Palmer. So you're going to want to – I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be close. But, of course, as a Bengals fan, I tend to think Andy Dalton wants to kind of assert himself here. So if there's ever a bounce-back spot, this is the one. Zach Ertz for the Eagles next. We're talking about Mark Sanchez under center finally. Kind of due to injury, of course, because Sam Bradford. But Sam Bradford struggled every once in a while, had those big games. Really just inconsistent this year. But Mark Sanchez in this same offense last year had plenty of success. And, he's looked better, really, in this offense. And outside of that just stupid interception he threw, looked pretty decent in relief last time out. So Zach Ertz is a guy that – another one of those really talented guys, kind of just falls through the cracks in an inconsistent offense. But, he's got good upside in this matchup.
Yeah, and looking at this game, I think Philly's going to have to pass the ball because Tampa's actually, their run defense has been really good the last few weeks. And, I know DeMarco Murray, he's been pretty solid as well. But, I think they're going to actually have to throw the ball a ton. And who would have thought we'd say Mark Sanchez gets a start and the Philly passing game gets a bump because, Bradford can't stretch the field at all. Sanchez can air it down the field, which makes me like Ertz even more for GPPs. And, look at targets, 6.4 targets per game is not that bad. I think it's kind of actually surprising us with those numbers. And he's been in the 8 to 10 range over the last few weeks. So definitely upside there with Tampa ranking 18th against tight ends. Yeah,
definitely a nice under-the-radar play for you there. That's going to wrap things up for us here. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Got lots of other NFL, NBA, other great content at dailyfantasycafe.com.